you are.
Yeah, it's
you
like when
have
you see
very extreme points of views.
yeah, like if you see someone posting like, oh, tax the rich or like fuck the rich or stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm not renting to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get right into it.
We were talking about. Okay, so let me.
So we were talking about how he discriminates against people when he's looking for tenants.
No. I have to preface this by saying that I was watching an interview, like a kind of like a podcast thing. I don't remember the guy's name. I got to start remembering names. But
all right.
The guy was talking about how he had a nightmare tenant.
Okay.
So basically, the people were getting mad that he was charging rent. Like, you know, like...
That he was charging rent?
That he was charging rent. I mean, obviously, like, they knew...
Yeah, no, okay.
Like,
I see what you mean. Like,
it's
they
like
were thinking that he was making too much money and...
Yeah, they're like, yeah, why... Like,
yeah, why is my rent this much if your mortgage is
it's like,
whatever?
When you let people borrow money and then you ask for it back and then they
get mad, never went away.
And then they're like, bro, what you want with $200? That's nothing to you. I'm
yeah,
like,
well, still.
It's still 200. Okay, so kind of like...
That's why I don't lend money to people. I just give it away.
Correct.
Because otherwise I'm just going to get pissed.
So the people were getting mad that because like, let's say it was like the 10th and he was like, hey, like, come on.
Yeah.
They were like, what the, like mad. Yeah. All right, so the guy in the contract, he was paying for the utilities of the home. Some landlords include utilities in the rent.
In the rent, yeah.
Right? Some of them do.
Some of them don't, yeah. I don't.
In this scenario, he was including the utilities in the rent. And 1 month, he got a bill for like, I think he said like 12 grand or something like that, or like $1,200.
Okay.
Something like that.
For what?
It was 12 for a water bill.
Like water?
It was that's a lot. Exactly,
yeah, that's a lot.
Right. So he called the water company. He was like, hey, what's going on? They're like, oh, well, you might have a leak.
Okay.
Because it's $12,000. Right.
1,000 or 100?
Something like that. I know.
Even 1,200 is a lot of money for a water bill.
Yeah, I know the number 12 was in there, but I know it wasn't $12. So the guy starts doing the math of like how much they charge per like cubic whatever you measure water.
Yeah.
And then whatever the bill was, and he's like, hey, like with this amount of water, my house should be flooded.
Okay.
Right. So then he goes to the house. When the tenant isn't there, he doesn't go inside or anything, but he knocks.
Okay.
Nobody's there, but he goes to the window near the kitchen and he sees the water running in the kitchen.
Okay.
So he waits for the tenant
to come in
to come like to get home.
Yeah.
So when he gets home, he's like, hey, like got this, and then so
he
comes into the house. He left all the water,
like the faucets,
all the faucets
like
open. To like screw like to
the
like
landlord.
Because he's
fuck?
Yeah, because he was like, why are you charging me rent? Oh, now you're gonna charge me rent. Well, now you're gonna suffer because you know what I mean, like that kind of those kind of thoughts, right? So then when he kicked that person out, they did like donuts in his like front yard, so they messed up all of his landscape.
Like his house or the rental house.
The rental house. So obviously, exactly. So obviously, right? Like,
did he vet the person?
Huh?
Did he vet the person?
What do you mean?
Like did he vet? Did he check for credit score? No, vet. Like before.
I don't know.
Okay.
When I it was like a how on Facebook there's like clips of podcasts where they're like 7 minutes long, 8 minutes long, or something like that. So when they got to that part, he was already into that story.
Into the story.
So I don't know if he did or not. But regardless, though, right?
Well, not regardless. That's what you vet people.
You should. Correct. You should vet people.
I fucking look at their Facebook and everything.
Exactly. So Facebook is sometimes like, I guess like whenever if you do post it on Facebook, I think companies fire people over posts that they have on Facebook, right? Like
they do.
Like, if you work for, I don't know, FedEx, and you're like, fuck FedEx.
I wouldn't fire someone over something like that, but I would definitely not hire them because of that. So, for example, let's say you've been at the office, right? A story we had about the office, right? So I remember there was a time when I asked you if we should do drug tests on the guys.
Yeah.
And you said if you do drug tests, you're gonna lose a lot of agents.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, then we're not doing the drug test.
Yeah.
So remember that? So the point being is the agents were selling. They were doing their job. At that point, I had already hired you. So why would I fire you over what you're doing with your personal life? That's your business. Like I really don't give a fuck unless it's starting
bro,
the sales.
what's going on here? Are you... That wasn't me. It was other people.
Yeah, well, yeah, it wasn't him. It was a couple of employees.
Me.
But,
He
yeah.
means you as a
Yeah, exactly.
I don't do. All right, go ahead, bro.
All right, so the point is, I wouldn't fire people that are doing a good job for something that they posted on Facebook or they're doing on their personal life.
Agreed.
Now, I would not hire them if I went on their Facebook and saw pictures of or like weed or like
agreed,
stuff like that. So.
Agreed. So, for example, the same thing with the houses, though, right? So, like, if you're a tenant and you've been living at the property for I don't know, a year, but we're about to renew your lease. You've never been late on payments.
Okay.
Always on the first.
Okay.
Sometimes people wait till the 5th.
Yeah.
But
I mean, as long as they pay it.
But
I personally don't care unless you pay. I mean, I charge a 5% fee after the 5th, I think. Or
correct.
Whatever.
Just like anybody.
But as long as you pay within the month, I really don't care. Like,
okay.
It is what it is.
So in this scenario, let's say like this tenant pays on the 1st every month.
Okay.
Right? Every month. And then they post something on Facebook that you don't like. I'm not going to kick them out.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm not going to kick them out.
Exactly my point. Because
I already trust you at that point.
I'm
now, would I let you rent if I saw a post of
correct.
You smoking weed or getting high
or
and stuff
even
like
just
that?
like something like I guess perception of owning a home is also like something that
everyone thinks you're rich because you're a landlord.
because you rent a home, people think that he's got it.
Yeah, you got all the money.
And that. Like you got to understand the financing behind this. You got to understand like there's also people that own homes out there that rent that are also living check to check or whatever.
Well, you don't really make that much money on a rental home until like year 5, right? Because when you first get it, your cash flow is probably going to be like what, a couple $100, $300. I mean, you can't make anything with it now. Rent will increase during those 5 years, and by the time the 5th year comes around, your cash flow could be $600-$700. Now we're talking
a decent
amount, right? So, especially if you have multiple properties, which is something people don't understand. They think you just have this many properties, and you're just he's rich, he can just pay for it.
Exactly. So then they're like, oh, well, I just won't pay rent, right? Because he's got it. But they're like, it doesn't work like that. Like it's at the end of the day, it's still a debt. So like.
Yeah, you still have to. You still have a mortgage against the property. They think you just own the property outright.
Yeah. And some people do, and that's cool too. But you also got to pay those people. Like, that's how it works. I mean, and also, I'm not coming at it from like a boohoo, like the people that own home. I'm not also, but it's not something that appeals to me if I see that you are. Yeah, it's like when you see very extreme points of views.
Yeah, like if you see someone posting like, oh, tax the rich or like fuck the rich or stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm not renting to you.
Yeah.
Because then you're gonna be like, fuck this guy. I'm gonna let the water run for a full month.
Yeah. Because you.
And I don't want that because you think that's how it works, and it's not how it works. So.
No, I agree.
Stuff like that. So I feel like
the thing. No, I was gonna say the thing about like when we were talking about rental properties, and to avoid that, I usually like to talk to the person on the phone as well.
Yeah, I do that.
And
too.
like you obviously have to vet people.
Yeah.
That's a part of like to get into an apartment.
Process,
yeah.
You have to get a certain credit score. Or I look a lot at the past debts. Make sure they don't have any liens, any outstanding judgments, stuff like that.
How do you
or criminal charges?
How do you look for that for like the people that don't know?
Well, you can run a background check on. Okay. I mean, it depends on which company you use. You can use Zillow. You can use Turbo Tenant. They all have a background check.
Okay.
Now, I don't look for the credit score per se because if you had good credit score, you would probably just own the house, right? Because I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but you can buy a house with 0% down. We give out those loans.
Yeah.
So where all you have to pay is closing costs, which is like maybe $5,000 depending on the property. Well, in Charlotte and surrounding areas. If you go to California, obviously it's going to be more expensive, but a lot of people have the $5,000 to $10,000 to buy a house. So if you have a good credit score, you probably already own the house. So that's why I don't look at credit score that much. Now, if you have like judgments and like liens, and that's a red flag. If you have like like a criminal record, that's also for me a red flag. Now, if you have a low credit score because maybe you're at 70% not debt to income, what do you call it? Usage, like credit usage, then I don't really check that.
Yeah, because I mean, you can't also be as demanding as like an apartment complex, or you can't be just because, or like a bank for a home loan, because like if they had all that,
they would own it, right? They wouldn't be paying me rent.
That makes sense. So another thing that when I was thinking about, like about the rents, right? Like how we were talking about how you only cash flow a couple $100.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for me, like the way I'm kind of understanding rental properties is that you're not really like making money from the rent. Like
no,
the whole objective of renting it is that it's increasing in value over time. Like
the appreciation of the asset. That's what that's in this market though. So like you have multiple markets. You have Charlotte, North Carolina, right? We're looking for appreciation. We're not looking for cash flow.
Gotcha.
Now, if you go to like Chicago, if you go to Pittsburgh, there you're looking for cash flow because the properties will not appreciate as much as they will here in North Carolina.
So did they substitute that with what quantities? Is that why there's like a lot of like units?
Cash flow. Properties just don't appreciate that much. People don't want to move up there because it's cold, right? But the rents, because people are not moving up there, then the value of the property is also much lower. So you can get a house there for like like a townhome for like 150K, and you can rent it for 1,500. That's 1%. There's no way you're gonna find a townhome in Charlotte for 1,500, for 150,000. It's gonna be at least 300,000. And now you're gonna rent it for what, 1,800?
Gotcha.
So see what I'm saying? You're not even getting to that 1%.
Gotcha.
So you have those markets, and then you have these markets. I would say appreciation markets would be North Carolina, Florida. You're looking at Texas, and then the cash flow I would say are more up north from what I've seen. I mean, I've seen people cash flow or charging rent, charge 14%. Of what the value of the property is in rents yearly. That's more than 1% a month. But you'll never see that here in Charlotte.
But would you see
at least for the next few years.
Would you say in both markets though you do benefit from holding it? Because they should appreciate.
You do, because in that market now you're paying. So think about it. You get a house for 150,000. Let's say your mortgage is what, 700.
Okay.
Just to give you a number.
700.
And you're getting 1,500 in rent. You can pay down that mortgage a lot faster than you would here in North Carolina. So you're still, I mean, it's just a different business strategy, right? Because over there, what you're looking is you buy a bunch of properties that will cash flow, and then you just live off the cash flow. Now, here you're probably going to buy the property, and then you're probably going to look to refinance or sell every 5 years. So if you have an extra 700 per month over there, right? That's an extra $8,000 a year. Give or take. In 10 years, you could have had that house paid off almost.
I mean,
you see what I'm saying?
That's refinancing, assuming that the value has gone up a lot more than what you already owe.
Which normally does in markets where the property appreciates, like North Carolina. So
how do you identify
you have to see how they've done for the past 5-10 years. Like if you look at North Carolina and Charlotte, like if you bought a house for $250,000 5 years ago, that same house now is worth like $450,000 or $400,000. If you look at a house in I want to say Chicago, because that's the one I've been looking at lately.
I feel like something happened in Chicago.
Well,
you just hate those people.
Well, it's a blue state, so you know what I mean. In Chicago, a house could be worth $150,000. It might still be worth $150,000 right now.
Yeah.
But it cash flow a lot more. So in those 5 years, you could put extra money towards the principal, and now the house you probably own maybe $30K on the house.
Yeah, I get.
So it's a different strategy.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, because I guess that's why I was thinking about it that way, because kind of seeing how, because I guess my plan.
Our plan, normally what we do here is it's appreciation. That's what we're looking for.
I mean, you buy it, you fix it, and then you refi to pull the money out of what that you put in, plus a bit more if you did the numbers right before buying it. And then the rent that you're collecting is really just supposed to be for the house, because like
pay down the mortgage and get a little bit of cash flow. Just
because at any given moment, like let's say, I don't know.
The market
furnace.
crashes. Yeah. Oh,
like, hey,
that's what you mean.
The furnace, something. Now you got to replace it. That's, I don't know, $3,000.
Yeah.
$2,000.
The AC broke down, and you got to buy a new unit. $3,500, $5,000.
Yeah. So like you're still gonna have to use that money at some point.
Exactly. At some point, yeah.
I mean,
a lot of people spend it, but you should be saving that extra $300 for when that happens, because it's gonna happen. It's just a matter of when it's gonna happen.
And that's the whole point of why.
You gotta look for it.
Thinking of like, I need to have a tenant that I know, is not going to, because not only, are you helping me with the payment of the mortgage on the house?
Yeah.
The cash flow is not a lot. So now if you're not paying rent and then something messes up, I'm still responsible by law.
Exactly. That's why I recommend people, everybody has their own strategy. Some people say, look, you should get a lower LTV on the loan, so it cash flows more, and if something happens, you have more money for that. I, based on my age, I think I'm better off doing a higher LTV, taking a little more risk, and having more cash in my pocket. Because if something happens, then I could use that same cash to pay the mortgage. Yeah. So, for example, let's say you cash out on your house. Let's say you buy a house for 250. Let's do one that I did, right? So 300,000. I bought it for 300,000. Put 50K in it.
300,000.
It appraised for 560.
So 300,000.
Bought it for 300,000. Put 50K in it, and it appraised for 560.
All right. And then you got 560.
Exactly. My loan after on the cash out was 440,000.
Which was what percent LTV?
80% LTV.
Oh.
Yeah. So I got 90K over what I put into the property. So the cash flow on that specific property is about $300 a month. My mortgage payment, I believe, is like $2,500, give or take. My rent's $2,800. So let's say something happens. Let's say the tenants just stop paying rent. I have 90 grand that I can use for mortgage payments for the next 5 years if I want to, right? Because my mortgage payment is $2,500. That's 30 grand per year. Let's say 3 years. I can use that 90 grand for 3 years without having the property even rented out. A lot of people told me to get a lower LTV and lower my payment. So if I had gotten maybe a 60% LTV and then just cash out what I initially put in, then my mortgage payment probably could have been I want to say like $1,800.
Yeah.
It would have rented for $1,000 more. And then I have $1,000. So if the tenants leave the house, I should have. I mean, if I get to save $1,000 a month for 12 months, that I should have enough cash to offset that difference until I find a tenant. Now, for me, it's just better to just have the cash on hand, because I feel like sometimes if you don't have the cash, now you're counting with your income to offset that payment. And if you don't have the income, which I mean we do because we have the lending company, but let's say someone that doesn't have the income and they don't cash out 80%, where are you going to come up with the other, with the $1,800 you need to pay for that? You know what I mean? So it's just a different strategy depending on what you want to do. And we talked to these guys, the guys that own 6,000 units. Yeah, and they are in different. Obviously, they gotta be like 50 something. Yeah. So obviously they're more cautious. They want to be at like 60% LTV.
Yeah. No, they were talking different.
Yeah, they had a different perspective. But that's because, I mean, you're older, right? You're looking for something. We're looking for just growth.
Yeah.
If something happens to me in the next 4 years and I lose everything I have, I'll start over again, man. I'll be 37. It won't matter. Obviously, I think this is going to change as I get older. Once I'm probably 55, I'm gonna be like, yeah, I want to lower my LTV to like
don't want
50%,
to, yeah.
and be a little more cautious.
You don't want to, exactly.
You don't want to risk everything you've built for
Correct.
20 years, just because, for what? At that point, you have so many units that it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. It just depends on the strategy.
Yeah.
I agree. So that's the thing, right? So it's strategy, and plus you got to know your market. So I think that's what I like about what like real estate is. It's like very dynamic.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many ways to make money. Yeah, insurance is very transactional.
It's simple. It's that.
It's what do you drive? The driver's license, date of birth, address.
I mean, there's elements.
What do you drive?
There's elements.
Yeah, like the zip code, the credit, the insurance score, the insurance history.
Yeah. No, but I mean,
but it's very simple.
But I mean, like also in insurance, there's elements to problem solving, such as like it is transactional, but if you learn the system, there are ways that you can make it work for you, or like if you know how to trigger certain discounts.
Exactly, but I wouldn't call that problem solving.
I mean, once you figure it out, it's done.
Exactly, like if you know your system is not really problem solving at that point.
But it's not just like, I guess it's not, what I'm saying is like there's a little bit of space beyond just putting information in a box.
The sales side of it.
It's a tiny chunk. But with this one, it's so
it's so broad.
And
yeah,
not every problem is the same, and not every situation can be solved the same way, even if the same issue. But sometimes it can.
Yeah.
So that's why I was saying in insurance, once you figure it out, you figure it out. And this one is the same thing, but there's like a million different scenarios that we don't even know about.
Yeah. And then in insurance, I feel like you're just looking for the sale, whereas here you're just building wealth.
Yeah. Well,
right. Yeah, just looking for the sale.
If you own the insurance company, you're building wealth in a sense, but not as much as this, because this is just property. This is
the thing with insurance, that even if you own the insurance company, you still have to maintain it.
Yeah, you do.
You have to. I mean, we've been there. I mean, we had COVID, and then our retention rate dropped from like 95 to like 60. And which was a huge hit for us, right, on that side. So.
And then you still have to do what that specific insurance, because you're not the insurance company.
Exactly. So that's as a broker, as an insurance, or as an agency owner.
Even if
you're an insurance, if you're the carrier, right, the insurance agency, you still have staff to pay. Mm-hmm. So when you see those drops, it could bankrupt you. Yeah. So we have what was it, 21st Century? What was the company that went bankrupt? Right before we opened the agency, I think it was 21st Century. I can't remember exactly the name.
Right before we opened?
Yeah, it was like a few years before we opened. Whatever. It was an insurance agency that went bankrupt before we opened, which testifies to like what I'm saying. Like, it's you have to. Yes, you're building wealth, but it's a business you have to keep on dumping money into and work into. With real estate, it's more like, you buy the property. If you get through the first 5 years, you could just have a property manager and just dump it.
Yeah.
Just be like, hey, just manage it. The cash flow will carry you for the next 30 years.
That's true. It's a different
game. Like you could literally just say by the time you're 50, like, you know what, I have so many properties, I don't want to do anything else. I don't want to work anymore. Like I want to retire. Yeah. With insurance, you could have a $1 trillion book of business by the time you're 50. But if you don't keep maintaining that book of business, it will go to zero.
Depleting. Yeah, that's what I was talking about with one of my siblings. Is that it's better. It's not as stressful, just because like once it happens, it happens. Like once you do a transaction done.
It's done. Yeah.
That's it. It's not like
it's a lot less stressful.
It's not like, all right, transaction done, and then. Are we going to be good the whole time?
Is it going to close? Is there a lien that's going to pop up?
Yeah, because if it cancels, then...
Is the borrower going to transfer the DD? Or
exactly.
Is he going to wire the money?
It's a different thing.
Yeah, it's completely different.
That's
I like it more, though. I think it has more room to grow. I mean, insurance is a great business. Don't get me wrong, but I think real estate, it's where the real money's at.
I think that making the decision to fully switch over to this,
to lending and
real estate in general, not only because lending the properties, also doing it yourself, it's so many different facets of the business.
Yeah.
You know, because like a lot of people they flip homes or they fix them to rent them, but they don't understand the lending. They're not in
the lending side.
In the lending to like understand, you know.
Yeah.
Or like a lot of people will do lending, but they'll never actually do flips.
Buy a property.
Yeah.
Those I really don't like those lenders because they'll misguide every borrower that you can.
They don't know what they're. Yeah.
They don't know what they're doing. So when you have a lender that tells you, yeah, you should get this. I mean, we have the best product. Like bullshit, bro. You don't know what you're talking about. What do you know?
Yeah.
It's like,
I think.
Have you invested in a property? It's like a realtor. When a realtor's like, oh yeah, you should buy this investment property, bro. How many properties do you have? 0? Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like.
Exactly.
Bro, like seriously, like shut the fuck up. Don't tell me what to buy. Like, where's your experience coming from? Oh, I do a lot of transactions. Are they with your money?
Yeah, it's just.
Are you putting your money where your mouth is? Or if not, then shut up.
I tell people all the time, like, it's very different to run a McDonald's than to own a McDonald's. Like, sure, like whoever runs the McDonald's, they know how much meat is coming in and out, ice cream, whatever. But like, they're not having to put.
Do you know? It's not money out of your pocket.
Yeah, so you don't really know.
Yeah.
And so I think that's something that we can help with is that we do this as well. Like that's what I tell people all the time. Like it's not like I'm just telling you like, hey, it's 2% origination. Like I know what
2% origination
feels like.
Yeah,
I feel
when you see the HUD and you're like, fuck.
Yeah.
I'm paying 10 grand just on fucking closing costs.
It's
like
underwriting fees, attorney fees.
Yeah, but it's different just saying because I feel like a lot of lenders will say, oh yeah, it's only 10 grand. I know what it feels like to put 10 grand out of your pocket.
Yeah. Or like I know what it feels like when on both sides because now like on the fix and flip, I know what it feels like to not fully have inspected because like that's the thing, like people, I understand that fear. Like people when we go show them a house, they want to come back and like bring their contractor or something. I'm like, listen, I get it.
Yeah.
Like I know it's scary because you don't know what is beyond these walls.
Yeah.
Like what if you buy it and it's like rotting?
Right.
I get it. Like there we have we've had that fear. So I understand. That's why I'm not like just go ahead. I get it.
It's a great deal.
But also like I understand that you have to make the decision, and I know what it feels like to put the down or like the cash to close. I know what that feels like. I know what it feels like to submit a draw and wait, or like get the work done. Submit,
or having to get all the paperwork for the draw and
for everything, for the loan, for pictures, lenders, right? And then on the refinancing side of it, I know what it feels like to pay points down to bring down my interest. And see
and be like
a chunk
of your cash out just
gone.
Yeah,
I get it. So like that's where I think. That's why, like you said, it's very important that your lenders
are investors.
Are doing too. Not just.
And it doesn't have to be an investor that's doing like, I don't know, 30 properties a year.
No, not necessarily. But as long as they know what it feels
like. Just doing some deals on their own. Same for the realtors.
Yeah.
Same for the wholesalers.
Yeah.
Like I don't. It's just you have these wholesalers like, oh yeah, it's a great deal.
Yeah, no, it's not.
Would you fucking buy it?
Yeah,
no. Then wouldn't. Shut up.
Yeah, you're trying to get me to buy.
Yeah, you're trying to get my money. They'll be like, obviously, I try to be under the 70% rule and whatnot, and a lot of wholesalers will be like, oh, that's impossible. Then I'm not buying your fucking property.
Yeah.
It's just not happening. Why don't you buy it if you think it's a great deal?
Yeah.
They're like, oh well, I'm not really interested in investing. Like, shut up.
So exactly. That's more of like the importance of the experience.
All right. Yeah. So it looks like we're running out of time. So
that's it.
Let's just close it out.
Call us off. Remember to do what for the giveaway?
Oh yeah. Remember to like the post, share it, and subscribe so you can get an entry to get a free house. So
cool. That's it. We're out.
See you guys.